Hello, everyone. We are finally doing it. This is probably like my most requested video. So we're really gonna dive deep into death grips, especially like powers that be. There's this one type of like crazy sound that's all over that album, and it is so simple to do in Ableton. I'm so excited to show you guys. It's like just a few clicks. Now, I know there's gonna be that one guy in the comment who's like, well, actually, Zach Hill played this on the V drums. Here's the thing. We are not all drumming gods, okay? We are humble, mere mortals. So let's cut the chit chat and just get straight into it. Okay, let's start with the most basic way to do this first. And to do that, we need a song where there's drums and singing at the same time. So I'm gonna use this Bjork song because Bjork is the GOAT and because Death Grips also samples her, I believe. Let's listen for a second. So you can hear they're singing, but there's also kind of like fairly distinct sort of drum sounds. So what we're going to do now is open up a new MIDI track and just drag this straight down into there. And now we can delete this. So down here, I am just going to bump up the gain a bunch and go to slice mode. And if you zoom in, we see we have a bunch of slices. So you can use these handles on the side to go to different parts of the song since you only get so many slices. And I'm just going to beef this up by putting an amp on blues mode, and we'll switch it to dual. So I'm just going to hit M on my computer keyboard, which is going to allow me to play these slices. If you can't hear anything, make sure you're in the right octave range by pressing Z and X. And if you go through these different slices, right, you can begin to figure out where the kicks and snares are. And the best ones are where a bit of the vocal overlaps with a kick or a snare. But I hope you can see the possibilities, like we're already there. We're kind of already there. Okay, but let me give you a little bit of a sense of how I might actually make something with this. So I'm gonna select 4 bars, and I'm gonna hit Command-Shift-M to create a new MIDI clip, and then I'm gonna click in a note. And you can see that as I move this around, I can hear it. That's because I have this headphone button selected, so I can actually hear the slice anytime I move it. And I'm gonna start by finding like a vocal slice just to anchor this. Yeah, maybe something like this. And I'm just gonna click in a little pattern. Gonna select all of this and hit Command D to copy it. And I can play the timeline from here by hitting Option Space. Now what I'm gonna do next is just move some additional notes around to get variety with other slices. I'm particularly gonna do this in places like here where I have repeats and before the ends of bars, right? So before 2, before 3, before 4, to create kind of little fills. Okay, so now that we have this little pattern here, what we want to do is anchor this with some kicks and snares, right? So let's go find some down here. So I could use this, but you can see the issue is that it doesn't play because this other slice is here, right? So what we have to do is go to our simpler and change the playback to poly, right? So now I have a kick here, and let's find a snare. That's kind of nice. I'm just going to create a simple kick and snare pattern underneath all of this. Copy and paste all of that, and then add some additional notes. And maybe let's find something really crazy for the end here. Okay, so here's what we got. Okay, a lot going on, but I think it sounds pretty good. And that's one thing I really noticed when I was going back and listening to death grips for this video is that like things I think are simpler and more spacious than you think. I think even in this thing we made right now, there's a bit too much going on. And the reason for that is there's a vocalist, right? And there needs to be space for the vocalist to do their thing because that is the point of the song. Okay, now you might be hearing this and being like, this is cool, but you know, this is just like some drums and a vocal chop. I want some of that real weirdness, right? So let's get a little weirder with it. Now we use this Bjork sample and it does sound pretty death grippy, right? But again, we don't want to copy them too closely because then it's going to sound like them and not like us, right? So let's pick a different song with a slightly different sonic character, but do the kind of the same thing. So I'm going to use this Caroline Polachek song.
Pull up like a shipwreck in reverse, yeah, I did.
So you can see there's also pretty clear drum transients, but also with nice vocals on top of them. So this should be perfect. Okay, so I have dragged this into a simpler once again, and this time I have an amp on blues mode and a drum bus. Why not? Let's get crazy with it. Already sounding great, already sounding great. Now what we're gonna do is we are gonna get an arpeggiator in here. And I'm just gonna turn this arpeggiator to 1/16th mode and turn the gate up to 100. So what I'm gonna do now is just hold like a bunch of notes and then occasionally just change one or two of them and just kind of mess around and find some things that I like. Okay, so then what you can do is hit this capture button up here, and Ableton is always watching. Yes, it's always watching. So here is a bunch of the stuff we played. Okay, so I'm just gonna clean this up to have maybe slightly more distinct sections. So maybe I'll just have this part be 2 bars. Oh, maybe get rid of this. Just have this up here. Maybe find another piece. Okay, cool. I think that's sounding pretty good. So let's listen to this. Hey, I mean, I think that's like not sounding too bad. I mean, I think it changes around a bit too much, but it sounds pretty death grippy, and you get that kind of rhythmic work that I think is really exciting in what they do. And hey, if you really like this video, you should take one of my online Zoom courses with me live virtually in person. So check the description, and if a course is being offered, the sign up link will be there. Okay, now I know where you're probably at right now. You're like, yes, okay, I went back and I listened to, Powers That Be, and like it was a little bit more minimalist than I thought, but you're like, hey, but what about those really crazy noises? I've got the really crazy ones. So yes, let's ramp it up. Let's make some of those really crazy noises. So I'm going to create a new MIDI track and drag in my Caroline Polachek again. So the sound I think I keep hearing in Death Grip stuff is Ableton texture mode. So we're going to turn on warp and go to texture mode. And let's stretch this out a bunch by hitting ×2. And I'm just gonna throw on an amp on blues mode. So already sounding pretty good, but if you wanna get really crazy with it, you can mess with the grain size and get a whole bunch of different sounds. And the flux will make things a little bit more crunchy. So these sounds are really cool, but let's make them a little bit more usable. So what I'm gonna do is click on this top header bar of the simpler and hit Command-G to group. Then on the left-hand side, I'm gonna click this chain selector and I'm going to drag in an 808. I'm gonna turn the 808 volume down a little bit and change it to one-shot mode. Wow, sounds so cool. Sounds so cool. So why don't we actually apply this? I'm gonna use like all of our different techniques together and make a 4-bar loop. So this sound is very aggressive, so we probably don't wanna use it that much. Okay, so I'm probably just gonna have this play here and just at the beginning of every 2 bars. Now let's use what we were doing at the beginning of the session to get some vocal chops in there. So I'm gonna create a new MIDI clip, drag Caroline Polachek in there again, go to slice mode and add an amp. And what I want to do this time is to get a little bit of a looser feel. I'm just going to like play this in. Okay, so I'm going to hit capture, the square button at the top. And I'm gonna go in and maybe just change some of these notes or add some new ones. And then finally, let's not overdo it. Death Grips use a bunch of acoustic drums. So let's create a new MIDI track. And then I'm just gonna go grab a break and get it in there. Again, we'll go to slice mode and just add an amp on blues mode. So I'm just gonna make a very simple drum pattern here. And I'm gonna go back up here and add in a few more 808s. And you know what? I'm not super happy with this chop, so let's find another sound for it. Okay, that's not sounding too bad. That's not sounding too bad. Let's keep it kind of minimal. But of course, it's me, Poet Mystery. You know it's me. So we'll do one last crazy thing. So I'm going to open up a new audio track and change it from external into resampling, and we are going to resample this. Now you could take this and put it into a simpler and do kind of exactly what we've been doing, but let's change it up, create a new MIDI track, and on that MIDI track, I'm going to put a granulator. I'm going to use Ableton's Granulator 3, and we'll just drag this in. So you'll notice that when I play each key, we're still playing this same little bit, just pitched differently. So what I like to do with Granulator 3 is go to transpose and then turn the key all the way down here. So now the keyboard is not going to affect the pitch. We're going to go to position and turn the key up, not all the way, but just a little bit. And now the keyboard is going to affect the position of the sample. So we can kind of play different slices. Again, you can always mess with the grain size now. Shape is fun. And variation is always great. And finally, I always like to turn the spread up a little for some stereo width. Okay, so let's put this all together now. So what can be really fun to do is use this granulator as kind of like a different section. So here's something I just sort of played in, and then after that, we'll have our loop reappear. But this time I'll make it slightly different. I'll maybe just take these 808s and then just go down here and hit Command A, and then use the arrow keys to just move them in a direction. And I'll do the same thing with the Caroline Polachek slices. Okay, now let's play it all together. I've tried to take away some stuff here and here just for some transitions. This isn't the greatest thing ever, but I think it gives you a sense of how you can start to use these techniques to actually like build something. So here we go. Okay, guys, that's all I got for you. Thank you so much for watching. Really appreciate it. And as always, if you have a question, drop it down in the comments.